Welcome to this special edition of Good to Know. I'm Alexa Liacco. Today, we're featuring our most memorable stories and finding out a little bit more about who tells them.
Makes you think back when you were a kid.
Get ready to step back in time.
Get her down the river, pole, pole, pole.
Meet people leaving lasting marks in our country and communities.
Those people we are indebted to.
Plus, some of our most inspiring families.
Grace.
Grace was born the youngest of 7, a gift of God that came from heaven.
And our storytellers dedicated to making sure we all see the good.
A lot of our viewers who are hungry for positive, interesting stories reach out to me with their story ideas about fascinating characters where they live. Is this your legacy?
It is my legacy.
We start in Virginia, a state with rich history, and with a storyteller who has a passion for making sure that history is remembered.
I'm Greg McQuaid, a storyteller in Scripps News Richmond. I have a passion for finding and featuring the history makers, both well-known and unheralded, who live all around us.
February of 1966. I rode the first day and I'm riding today.
I've been riding with Ed for 50 years now. I probably wouldn't have kept doing it as long as I did without Ed.
I think that I probably have the most fun job in the whole world. There's something to be said about taking the time and learning an old process, that there's truly magic in preserving things that are old. I am essentially making just a big old stamp to create art with. The Roosevelt in Churchill, and I also have that one in color.
Oakdale, there's no other place like it. It's perfection.
When you come out to a place like this and you see the structures that date to the 1830s, and when you see it being cared for hundreds of years, you do get that sense of place. You get that sense of history.
I wanted to make sure when I'm not here that my farm is still here forever.
To have her then take the ultimate step of a perpetual conservation easement really shows actions, not just words.
Oh, I love history. I was born in Boston, but there was one instance that really lit my fire and set me on a path toward absorbing as much history as possible. I remember when I was about 10 years old, my neighbor, Red Bavin, who was elderly at the time, described in great detail what it was like to survive and live through and witness Pearl Harbor.
Japan, like its infamous Axis partners, struck first and declared war afterwards.
Oh, I've featured a number of fascinating characters over the last year from a group of women who are preserving and maintaining a 19th century way of transportation on the James River.
How do you get down the river? You pole this boat with long poles. You know, no motors, no nothing. No motor. This is here. These are the motors.
Get her down the river, pole, 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 pole. Let's get that to back out of Richmond.
Poles on the right. And you'll see that one person can't do it. You need everybody together, working together.
If we stop doing this, it may go away. I want our children to realize where we came from, to be where we are today, and appreciate that.
2, the man who rode the mighty racehorse Secretariat before he won the Triple Crown.
He was an amazing horse, he really was. He's a freak. He's a freak horse. He's got to be, to do what he done.
And they're off for the lead.
He just took his time, and when he decided to go, even Ronnie said it, the jockey said when he decided to go, he went. Didn't matter, he was going.
To a deaf historian who was researching a deaf village and in turn discovered her roots.
There is so much information that is gone or missing that I strive to revitalize. Upon my, family research, this kept coming up. This idea of a large deaf group who lived here. Because this was a deaf space, and historically, this is where deaf people came, and they felt free. These hidden stories are missing from the research, and I'm fascinated by that history and filling in that gap.
2, a World War II pilot, Chuck Lorette, who at the age of 103 still has a need for speed.
I'm gonna go slow! Watch out, for God's sake! Speed!
S-P-E-E-D. I told you all my life I wanted to fly. I was on my way. Nothing could be better. Nothing. When I flew a plane, I belonged to heaven itself.
The awesome majesty of mountains, rising often to 20,000 feet and more, is a challenge to the courage of men and the perfection of their machines.
This next story is about a little girl that we've thought about all year long. It's about music, faith, adversity, and an unexpected gift.
You wanna help me bake?
Inside this Nashville house,
Easy breakfast cookie. Okay, press with me.
Nadia Mutana
Oh, this is looking good. Let's put chocolate.
juggles Jeremiah,
We forgot to turn the oven on.
Wonder and Eliza,
Defrost for 2 tonight.
Samuel and Jairus,
Okay, next.
Cyrus and Grace, a traveling missionary family from Kenya.
Grace, come out.
The Mutanas have gotten used to making a life together
Want me to close the door?
wherever they are.
If it works. There's never a dull moment.
But wherever they are, listen closely,
How many cookies are
and you'll hear what truly makes their house a home.
We wake up with music. That is always a constant. And if I turn it off, somebody will start singing.
It's worship music that's lifted them higher, especially during times
Yes.
when they couldn't have felt much lower.
Just like that. Life was changed. Like it's never been the same, you know?
In 2018, just hours after Grace was born, the youngest of 7, the doctor came to visit.
Grace, please. Thank you.
He was shaken and he said, I wish I never had to deliver this news, but she has a rare syndrome. It's a genetic disorder, and it's called Clove syndrome.
Cloves syndrome would make it hard for little Grace to do the simplest things,
Oh, but this should be done, shouldn't they? Yes, they are.
like turn her neck, see, or even eat.
That was the beginning of her life, and took her home. I mean, I laughed.
Then came another diagnosis, stage 4 nerve cell cancer.
We'll cook those ones later. Can we wash hands?
Grace underwent 5 months of chemo and not 1, but 2 stem cell transplants.
Whew. Yeah. I mean, with each one, you just hold on for dear life, you know.
It was while holding on for dear life that Nadia began listening and heard what else but music.
In my state of crying and broken and desperate and really no hope at that moment, she had been so weak. She couldn't talk, she couldn't walk better. She just began to hum. And in a weak voice, she just began to slowly sing. All my life, you have been faithful. And I had to go closer, and she was singing this worship song of how God has been good to her. I cried. That snapped me out of my low present. I have no reason to complain. I mean, I fell on my knees and just lifted my hands and just worshipped. And the more she sang, the more energy she had.
There were so many downs.
Okay, ready?
And ups.
Grace was born the youngest of 7, a gift of God that came from heaven.
Nadia began writing down those miraculous moments.
First, she could see, then turn her neck, use her hands, bend her legs.
The rest of the family joined in too.
She's so fun to play with, and she's going to win the fight against sickness.
She will come to me from time to time and say, Samuel, you can do it.
She's such a good helper and always joyful as she does it. She's a good sister. Grace comes up to me and says, "Can I help you, please?"
And all I could think to myself was, someday she's going to be a very successful person.
Words saved for just the right moment. Saved for when just words alone.
You guys excited? Are you guys excited?
Wouldn't do the Mutanas justice. Through the work of the Sing Me a Story Foundation and the Bodecker Foundation, all those words were about to transform into something so much bigger.
This is a perfect way for us as a family to describe what she is to us, to explain to us in a way that actually is meaningful to all of us and totally her, you know?
The Nashville Youth Jazz Ensemble
I want to dance.
brought music into the Mutana's life once again.
Here comes Grace down the stairs.
She was born with a rare disorder and many challenges laid ahead.
Her family prayed daily and gave to God. With love, faith, and persistence, beautiful Grace began to overcome.
Nadia says Grace takes a while to warm up to strangers. She's naturally a shy girl. But as she recognized the words of each of her siblings,
And all I could think to myself was, someday she's going to
be a very successful person.
her inner extrovert couldn't help but make an appearance.
She also will quote Philippians 4:13.
She encourages me in my walk with God.
That's right. Although her hips were not in place, here came
walking beautiful Grace.
It can be hard for a 6-year-old to believe it, but it's true. This song is about you, Grace.
new song. Yeah, it talks about grace. Because all of us wrote it. I wrote some, and Cyrus, and then they put music. Yeah, because it's about you. It's talking about our precious, beautiful Grace.
Grace was born the youngest of 7, a gift of God that came from heaven.
No one can tell what the future may bring. Grace's current trial drugs have shown mixed results.
She will always have a song. But no pain can take that away.
But for the mom with a new song in her home,
And an unwavering joy in her heart, beautiful Grace has become our role model.
Our little hero.
I love you.
what a wonderful gift to hear the song in her heart.
So good, even the second one.
And we're happy to share that Grace is still thriving. You can follow her progress on the Facebook page, Precious Grace. There's more people worth celebrating.
I had a lot of people also tell me, oh, you shouldn't do that, or that's probably gonna be really hard for you.
No naysays or physical challenges can stop this young woman from growing in her dream career. Plus, a thriving musician bringing comfort in all the right places.
Not to show off, but to connect and to see that it does indeed bring people joy.
Good to Know returns after this.